to add a little more impact, what I like to do is then introduce a pause right before the drop, right? That just allows for more of an impact before the drop. So what you can do is then you highlight a section. Like, so I have 2 bars highlighted here of the drums, and then you can hit delete, and that introduces a pause here. Now, make sure your grid size is at the right size. Let's say my grid was too big. So you can change your grid size by hitting Control or Command 2 or 1. So 2 makes it bigger, and then Control or Command 1 makes it smaller. So let's say it was here, then see, I can't make that selection because my grid size is too big, right? So make it small enough to select this section and then hit delete, right? So like that, boom. And then and actually, I think my pause is too long, so I'm going to undo that. And then I change my grid size, make it smaller, and then highlight this section, hit delete, okay? Now this is when the transition sounds come in. So during this pause, you might want to introduce what's called a riser. So if we flip back to the session view, if we hit tab and then move to the far right here, we have some riser sounds. Now I'm just gonna choose, let's say, riser 2 or riser 3, and what we're gonna do is just copy. So Control or Command C, and then that copies it. Hit tab or this icon here, and then go under the transitions section here, and then make sure your blinking line is under transitions, and then paste. So now you have a riser here, right? So that helps the transition between the intro into the drop. Now, I might want to remove the vocal after the first 16, so I'll delete that guy. And then maybe take out the stab on this third section here. Maybe I want to increase that delay on the vocal. So I'm just going to go back under the vocal, and then we can still adjust those macro knobs. And we're actually at the breakdown section now, so I'm going to remove my drums. And maybe take out that vocal. And take out that amen. And then on the second drop, I maybe just want to focus on the drums and bass. So I'm going to take out my pad, my vocal, the stabs, and maybe like that. We'll introduce the stab, take out the vocal here. Something like that. Well, we'll see how it works out. Maybe we'll take out the stab here as well. Now, actually, you can actually copy this riser. So you can copy this 16 bar section and then hit Control D, and that will copy the risers. So you have smooth transitions between each 16 bar section. Now, actually, between the body and the drop here, I like to add an impact sound. So if we hit tab and go back to the transitions, we can copy this impact here, copy, and then paste it here. So now that's a cleaner transition. Now you can make additional what I call edits. So at the end of 16s, I might want a little pause in between sections here. So so just make sure you're zoomed in enough. And I might introduce a very short pause here like that. Right? Pauses are always nice. It really helps the impact of between sections. So maybe try one like this. And for this section, maybe you want to edit the amen. So that's another option, right? So we can highlight this section, the very last 4 bars, or last bar here. Then right click and say split. So now this is a section on its own. So you can color it. So this is right. So I might want to introduce maybe a snare roll here, right? So what you can do is then edit this pattern, right? You can do that, right? And then I'm gonna adjust the slope of the velocity here. So I'm gonna click, hold Control or Command click and drag up. Okay. Let me just mute this guy here. Okay. Now I'm liking the section between the with the pauses here. So actually I can remove this section and just copy this drum section so that I have another pause and then another snare roll here. Right. And now for the bass line, I might want to fade it out during the breakdown, right? So under the bass line, there's over here, you can introduce a fade out. So what I would do is I would perhaps I would go into audio section. What I suggest would be to bring in the utility and then just click on the automation mode here, this icon here. This turns on automation mode, and then you can adjust the bass line here. This line here is now it's currently, it says it's this line automates the filter frequency. So just click on the gain knob here, right? And then you can draw a dot here and a dot here. And then now you have a fade here. And actually I probably want the bass line to stop here. So maybe I'll add a dot here. And maybe I want the vocal to keep playing.
Kill them.
Let me just play that again.
Kill them. Kill them.